out here. I think we'll all agree. We don't want to, if we can, go into the playoffs with dangling participles, loose ends. Obviously, it rolls off your tongue the way it did with mine. Bart, your reaction to what Jerry Jones had to say. Playing your starters week 17.
Well, usually I don't agree with Jerry Jones, who calls me Raymond, by the way. I told him I played for the Ravens. He said, "Hey, Raymond, thanks for your service." I said, "What are you talking about?" I don't know. But that's Jerry. You got to know Jerry. If you see him in the streets, he has no idea who the hell you're talking to. But, I agree with him with saying that you have to play your starters in week 17. Maybe everybody but Zeke. I'll get Zeke some rest. Maybe you'll put him in for a couple of plays. But this is a young football team without a lot of experience. They need to start setting some things up. You treat this last game like the last playoff game. You want to set up some formations, try some things out, try and tighten up your red zone, offense or red zone defense, situational football, and see if you can work it out that way.
So here's the thing. I typically, if you have a bye, I don't want to rest in week 17 unless the guy's injured already, is questionable, because then you have 3 weeks to go. If you are locked into a spot and you're going to play the next week and you can give yourself an extra bye week, essentially, I like the idea of it for my guys that are dealing with injury. But for the Cowboys, a lot of those guys are offensive linemen. If you take your offensive lineman out of it, now you're not going to put Dak out there without a quality offensive line in front of him. Now you're taking Dak out of it. And the Cowboys passing game needs as much work as it can get. So, of course, I think Zeke is a no-brainer to let him rest, or at least have him have a very light workload, because we've talked about what a heavy workload he's had the last 2 months of the year. But who are you taking out? And it's not college football where you've got 100 guys on your roster.
Right.
You got 53, you're only dressing 47. So realistically, the most guys you could rest is 9, 10. And so I look at anyone dealing with an injury, I make sure they're not playing, but I don't think it's as simple as, oh yeah, rest all your starters. I understand they don't want guys to get hurt, but sometimes resting a starter can lead to a different starter being hurt because you can't rest all of them. I think that's one of the things Jerry obviously is aware of and is thinking about here.
Yeah, Jerry knows what he's talking about. I think people, it's unrealistic. The reason why you end up getting the rest is because you've earned it. That's on the bye week. And, of course, it makes sense if you don't have the bye week to play the last game. But the difference in the NFL and all the other sports is rest in that first week, it's not that important. It's about momentum.
Right.
In the wild card round, it's about momentum. Ain't no rest. Ain't nobody going into the wild card rested up. And it's impossible to rest your roster and to have a team that can compete in week number 17, because to me, I used to always take it like this, and I've been in this spot a number of times. What about the offensive linemen? If they're going to be out there, then I should be out there. If the quarterback's going to be out there, then I should be out there. And it becomes hard to manage your team. If we have a running back, a lot like Ezekiel Elliott, or the guy who is our #1 ball carrier, and if he gets hurt, it's going to change the game, then I can understand giving the back some type of rest. But there's a sense of accountability, all right? When you're on that 53-man roster, everybody can't just rest. Right. And when you're in that locker room, Bart will tell you, we know who needs the rest.
Right.
And so what Jerry is saying is appropriate, especially for a young football team.
Bart, you said earlier it's a good opportunity to try some things out, work on a couple different things in the red zone. How much different does the game plan become in the playoffs than it does in the regular season? I mean, how much are you actually changing and how much are you just tweaking?
Well, you understand you're self-scouting, right? You understand what teams and the opponent expect. So you want to make sure that you work on your specialty plays. You want to put some fake punts on film so that the opponent that you're going to face has to prepare for things that maybe they didn't have to prepare for, because they're breaking you down. They've been, the teams that are going to the playoffs are breaking down their potential opponents and making sure that they can go through their 5-game, 4-game script. What's their formations, what's their tendencies, what plays do they like on third down. So they're devising a plan for that. So you got to make sure that you put some stuff on film that they haven't seen, and also start practicing on things. You're going to practice on things. You're going to have 2 game plans, right? You're going to have the game plan that you're going to play for the Giants, but then you're going to have your game plan for your potential opponents. So you'll have your starters work on half of those plays and then work on the plays for that game, because you don't really care about the Giants other than their divisional opponent that you hate.
I haven't seen a game plan in the regular season that match with the type of intensity and the type of chances you have to take in the playoff. I have very seldom ever seen a defense say, you know something, this quarterback's not that good. We're going to sit back and allow him to throw. No, if he's not that good in the playoffs, and they might do that in the regular season.
Exactly.
In the playoffs, they are going after him. The games are officiated different.
Yeah.
The energy on the field is different. So Bart is right. You set up a couple of things to plant some seed in the other team's mind so that they have to prepare for it. Now, you know you're going to take more chances offensively. You're going after the quarterback against their offense. And offensively, you know you got to get conversions on third down, and you know you got to make big plays or your season's going to end. So how you go about both of them is totally different. But the intensity we're going to see next week, oh, man, it's going to be ratcheted up, and guys will be taking more chances.
I do think there's an opportunity for a team in the position the Cowboys is, which is win or lose, you are locked into the 4th seed in the NFC, your exact playoff seeding. 2, if there's a guy on your roster that you have really liked how he's been playing, maybe a guy that's typically inactive on game day, that you've really liked how he's been practicing, and you want to see what he looks like up against a legitimate NFL competition, get him more snaps.
Yeah.
If there's things like that I don't think you coach this Week 17 game like you would if it was win and get in, like the Colts-Titans will this on Sunday night where the winner goes to the playoffs.
Right.
I do think you can take advantage of your situation, and I think you can be smart as far as during the game. If a guy gets nicked and it's the type of injury where he normally would go back in, anyone like that, I would. Yeah. So I don't treat it. I do recognize my situation, but I think it's too easy to simply say rest your starters. Well, who are your starters? You got 22 of them, so now you're going to play with a 25-man football team? Like, that obviously can't happen. And if you rest any offensive lineman, it seems foolish to put your quarterback out there. So you've got to kind of follow the logic to its furthest conclusion.
Got to get Cooper his 1,000 yards, too, so you can look like executive of the year, Jerry.
Oh, okay. You let guys go for this.
Hey, Raymond, we'll see you a little bit later.
Raymond,
Coming up, how are the Lakers able to take down the Warriors despite losing LeBron? That's next.